Hi everyone. Today in this video we are going to discuss about telmisartan. How this drug acts as antihypertensive, what is the mechanism, side effects, precautions and clinical indications of this telmisartan. We will discuss in this video. What is this drug? The suffix sartan indicates this drug is a angiotensin II receptor blocker, commonly known as ARB. We have few of the other drugs with similar suffix like losartan, olmesartan, candesartan, irbesartan and valsartan. All these drugs are angiotensin receptor blockers. These drugs are going to inhibit the angiotensin II activity, thereby they inhibit renin-angiotensin system. That's why these drugs can be used as antihypertensives. Not only in the treatment of hypertension, but these drugs can also be used to reduce the risk of cardiovascular disorders associated with stimulation of renin-angiotensin system. So today in this video we are going to discuss about telmisartan. How it acts. Whenever there is decreased renal perfusion pressure or any other conditions like hypotension or in case of excessive sympathetic stimulation, all these conditions can stimulate the renin-angiotensin system such that renin is going to be released from the distal tubule. This renin is having proteolytic activity. It can cleave the peptide chain such that it can release the vasoactive peptides such as angiotensin II, which produce the vasoconstriction. In this way, renin can increase the vasoconstriction, thereby it can increase the perfusion pressure. So this is a normal physiological condition where the renin-angiotensin system is going to be activated. But under few of the clinical conditions like cardiac arrhythmias, hypertension and heart failure, all these conditions can also stimulate the renin-angiotensin system. Thereby they can release the renin from distal tubules. Now here telmisartan can inhibit this renin-angiotensin system so that it can reduce the risk of cardiovascular complications. From the liver, one of the precursors that is going to be released is the angiotensinogen. This angiotensinogen is a large peptide composed of different amino acids, but this is the inactive form of the peptide. This precursor is going to be activated by one of the proteolytic enzyme renin that is released from the distal tubules. Now this renin can act on the angiotensinogen such that it can cleave the peptide chain and release one of the peptide. This peptide is nothing but angiotensin I. Now this angiotensin I is having 10 amino acids, so it is a decapeptide. So from the angiotensinogen, a small peptide chain is going to be released, which is the angiotensin I, but this is again not the active form. It should be converted into another peptide chain, angiotensin II. This step is mediated by another enzyme, ACE, angiotensin converting enzyme. This enzyme is present in many of the tissues and it is abundant in the lungs. But within the vascular system, this ACE enzyme can convert the angiotensin I into angiotensin II. Now this enzyme can cleave the angiotensin I such that the last two amino acids from one of the terminal are going to be removed and it releases one of the fragment. This is nothing but angiotensin II. Now this angiotensin II is having 8 amino acids, so it is a octapeptide. In the next steps, this angiotensin II can also be cleaved to other two peptides. For instance, one of the amino acid from the terminal is going to be removed. It results in the angiotensin III. Otherwise, if another amino acid is also released, then it results in the angiotensin IV. In this way, angiotensin III is having the 7 amino acids, angiotensin IV is having the 6 amino acids. But among these peptides, angiotensin II is important clinically, which produce the vasoconstriction, thereby increase the blood pressure. Now this angiotensin II can act on the two types of receptors, AT1 receptors as well as AT2 receptors. Here we should not be confused that AT1 receptors indicate the angiotensin 1 receptors. They are not the angiotensin 1 receptors. they are the receptors for the angiotensin 2, but they are subtype 1. So that's why they are called as angiotensin 2 receptor subtype 1. In this way, angiotensin 2 can act on both AT1 receptors as well as AT2 receptors. When it acts on the AT1 receptors, it can produce vasoconstriction as well as increased aldosterone secretion and hypertrophy, smooth muscle proliferation. All these are going to increase the blood pressure as well as perfusion pressure. Whereas AT2 receptors are having the quite opposite role. They produce vasodilatation, and this vasodilatation is mainly related with release of nitric oxide. And they can also decrease the proliferation as well as increase the apoptosis. So these are the functions of the AT2 receptors. Now the pathological roles of angiotensin 2 are related with the AT1 receptors. Interestingly, telmisartan mainly acts on the angiotensin 1 receptors, thereby it prevents the vasoconstriction as well as hypertrophy in the vascular smooth muscle. Now angiotensin 2 is the octapeptide which can act on the AT1 receptors. These AT1 receptors are G protein coupled receptors with 7 transmembrane units. Now when this angiotensin 2 binds to the AT1 receptors, it can activate the phospholipase C system. When this phospholipase C is going to be activated, it can cleave the phosphatidyl inositol biphosphate into two components. One is IP3 and another is the diacyl glycerol. This IP3 can act on the sarcoplasmic reticulum. The sarcoplasmic reticulum is equipped with IP3 receptors. Now when this IP3 binds to these IP3 receptors, it can activate these store operated calcium channels such that calcium can be released from the sarcoplasmic reticulum. Similarly, diacyl glycerol can activate the protein kinase G. These can stimulate the inward going calcium channels so that the calcium permeability into the vascular smooth muscle is going to be increased. In this way, the calcium levels are increased within the vascular smooth muscle, which increase the contraction of the vascular smooth muscle. That's why angiotensin 2 acts as vasoconstrictor. It can also increase the smooth muscle proliferation as well as increased aldosterone secretion by increase the intracellular calcium levels. Now here telmisartan is one of the drug which can block the AT1 receptors such that it can inhibit the actions of angiotensin 2. In this way, telmisartan can prevent the vasoconstriction resulting in vasodilatation. What are the precautions? This drug telmisartan is one of the teratogenic drug. It produces a fetal toxicity, particularly in the fetus. It can produce few of the abnormalities such as hypotension. Because this drug is an antihypertensive agent, it can also produce a hypotension within the fetus and skull hypoplasia, decreased skull growth as well as renal failure within the fetus. And it can also reduce the amniotic fluid surrounding the fetus, resulting in one of the condition oligohydramnios. When this amniotic fluid is going to be reduced, it results in limb contractions within the fetus as well as decreased lung development within the fetus. And particularly the fetal toxicity is more pronounced in second and third trimester of the pregnancy. That's why all the sartan drugs should not be used in the pregnancy, and this drug should be discontinued whenever pregnancy is going to be confirmed. So this is one of the important precaution of telmisartan. Second one, this drug can also produce the hypotension because it is an antihypertensive agent. Generally, it can be combined with low dose of diuretics, but when high dose of diuretics are given, they can produce some volume depletion as well as salt depletion. These two conditions can further increase the hypotension. In such conditions, the dose of the telmisartan should be reduced in order to prevent severe hypotension. And third precaution is that telmisartan is one of the drugs which can reduce the renal functionality. So in the patients who are having severe congestive heart failure or already pre-existing renal dysfunction, these comorbid conditions can further reduce the renal functionality. So in such conditions, telmisartan can produce acute renal failure and low urine output, resulting in one of the condition oliguria, and it can also elevate the blood urea nitrogen. The nitrogen waste is not going to be excreted, resulting in the increased levels of urea nitrogen within the blood. So this condition is called as azotemia. and it can also reduce the potassium excretion resulting in hyperkalemia. And just we have discussed that telmisartan can produce hyperkalemia because it reduces the potassium excretion. When this drug is given with other drugs like potassium sparing diuretics such as spironolactone, amiloride, triamterene, all these drugs can increase the hyperkalemia. Otherwise, potassium supplements or potassium salts, some of the drugs may be made up of potassium salts. So all these can increase the hyperkalemia when they are simultaneously given with the telmisartan. What are the side effects? Telmisartan mainly produces the back pain as well as diarrhea and abdominal pain, and some dyspepsia can be observed in the patients. It can also produce headache, dizziness. Interestingly, this drug can produce few of the upper respiratory tract infections. It can produce a sinusitis and influenza-like effects. Some chest pain, cough, and pharyngitis can be observed in the patients. And another important side effect of telmisartan is the hyperkalemia, and it can produce some myalgia, fatigue, and rarely it can produce the rhabdomyolysis, the dissolution of the muscle fiber. Along with the renal dysfunction, this drug can also produce some liver dysfunction as well as obstruction in the biliary secretion. Among these, hyperkalemia is one of the important side effects that is produced by telmisartan. And since it produces a renal dysfunction, this drug is contraindicated in the bilateral renal artery stenosis. When the renal bilateral arteries are narrowed, such as afferent as well as efferent arterioles, then in such conditions, telmisartan should not be given because it further reduces the renal functionality. What is the chemical nature of this drug? So this is the structure of telmisartan, and here you can observe it is having the benzimidazole ring system as a heterocyclic ring. It is having the two benzimidazole rings so let us give the numbering to these rings. This is 1, 2, 3. Similarly, the numbering for second benzimidazole 1 prime, 2 prime, 3 prime, 4 prime, 5 prime and 6 prime. In this way, the benzimidazole rings are attached by second portion of one ring and sixth portion of the second ring. So these type of rings which are attached by a single bond, they are prefixed with the letter bi, and they are attached by second and sixth portion. So this can be represented as 2,6 by 1H benzimidazole. So this ring is present in the telmisartan. Similarly, we can observe another type of ring system. Here two phenyl rings are attached by single bond. So this is nothing but biphenyl ring system. This biphenyl ring system is having a carboxylic acid at second position. So these are the structural features of telmisartan. It can be considered as biphenyl 2-carboxylic acid derivative. How it is given? Telmisartan is given as a tablet form and it is available at the different doses like 20 mg, 40 mg, 80 mg. The general dose range of this telmisartan is from 20 to 80 mg per day. But in the treatment of hypertension, the starting dose of this drug is given at 40 mg once daily. In case of cardiovascular disorders, in order to reduce the cardiovascular risk, telmisartan can be given at an initial dose of 80 mg once daily. So that's about this telmisartan. Telmisartan is one of angiotensin receptor blocker. It acts as an antagonist at the angiotensin 2 receptor subtype 1, which are commonly known as AT1 receptors. By blocking these AT1 receptors, it can block the angiotensin 2 actions. Thereby, it can reduce the vasoconstriction, hypertrophy as well as aldosterone secretion. This drug produces renal dysfunction as one of the important side effects which results in the hyperkalemia. So potassium supplements, potassium sparing diuretics or potassium containing salts should be carefully combined with telmisartan. This drug is a teratogenic substance which can produce some fetal toxicity. Particularly, the risk is more pronounced in the second and third trimester of pregnancy. So better this drug should be avoided in the pregnancy. Telmisartan can also produce the liver dysfunction and obstruction in the biliary secretion, and it can also produce upper respiratory tract infections. And finally, this drug is available at different doses like 20 mg, 40 mg and 80 mg. For hypertension, this drug may be started at 40 mg once daily. In the cardiovascular complications, the initial dose may be 80 mg once daily. So that's about this telmisartan. Hope you have enjoyed this video. If you like this video, please subscribe to our channel, share this video with your friends, post your comments in the comment box. Thank you for watching this video.